What is going on, guys? We are back. We are better than ever. We had a little bit of sabbatical. We may or may not have been kidnapped by Columbus Crew fans and held hostage. Luckily, Josh Wolf may or may not have come to our rescue in a blaze of glory. But Avery, if you want to tell the people what's been going on so that they don't have to listen to my BS anymore, that would be great.
Yeah, basically, pretty simple stuff. We just bit off a little bit more than we could chew. I moved to Germany. I was both working full-time jobs. I had some weird hours of working for an American company. We were just trying to do YouTube and a podcast and a blog and social media and stream and, it's tough to do. And, we kind of took a step back, and obviously with the whole pandemic situation and the holidays, things were just crazy. So, we got a little more condensed, focused objectives going forward, and Brady will tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so going forward, we really talked about what we were most interested in doing, the content we were most interested in making, and what we thought would be the most rewarding experience for us. And we settled on that we really wanted to focus on YouTube and do review shows and analysis shows because that's what we're both really passionate about. We're both lifelong
Right.
soccer players, and we wanted to be able to talk about it to you guys. Continue doing the podcast, obviously. We're going to be doing a weekly show every Sunday, and that's where our actual audio for the podcast will come from. So if you'd like to see us, I don't know why you would, but if you'd like to see us and also get the podcast experience, you got to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be tweeting about it and everything, and shouting it out on the podcast, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but we'll also, still have a presence on social media. We
Of
think that's
course.
a big part of what we deliver. We want to be a little less serious about it, making memes, funny clips, stuff like that, stuff that we're interested in as fans, and not worry about being a reliable news outlet and stuff like that because it's less fun, and we're fans, so let's act like fans,
Right.
you know.
Of
Um,
course. Of course.
so we're gonna stick to YouTube. We're gonna stick to podcasting. We'll stick to our socials. We're definitely gonna be doing Wallpaper Wednesdays still, and we're gonna try and put out a lot of content for y'all, and just do stuff that we would like to consume ourselves. So that's kind of our plan going
Right.
forward. Now that you've gotten a little bit of the rundown, we can actually get into the real show itself. So big news coming out so far. The biggest thing that I've seen, the thing that I'm most excited about is our schedule, right? And it's not even the full schedule. It's just like a little teaser. It's
Three
like the
games.
trailer. Yeah, we got 3 games and they're not even back to back. We
Yeah,
got our
not even
first
consecutive.
we got our first 2 matches, right? The away matches, where we've got LAFC away on Saturday, April 17th. And then we've got Colorado Rapids away on April the 24th, which, by the way, I'm going to. If y'all didn't know this, I went to school up in Colorado. Like all of my best friends from Colorado live up in Denver, and they're all big Rapids fans. So my roommate
Right.
and I are going on a trip up there. We're going for away days, and I'll definitely make sure to videotape that experience. Video us, setting off flares and being obnoxious in the away fan section, and maybe starting a couple fights or something. Nah,
Yeah,
I'd
no
never do
kidding.
that. But it's gonna be great when we stomp on Colorado 3-0 and get our first win
Oh
away.
my God.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super confident about the
Yeah,
LAFC away. It
right,
might be a
right.
little
I
bit
don't,
tough.
might be a
Um,
little early.
and then our final game that's been released is actually our home opener, which is all the way in June 19th. It's another Saturday match. It's thank God it's at 8 p.m. So it
Yeah, I
may
know.
may not be a billion degrees, but
It'll only be 97.
it'll only be 97. That's right. Um, so we've got Quakes at home, which I think I'm very glad about because I think Quakes is a winnable game. I
Yeah.
would have been slightly upset if we had one of the better teams coming in for our first home opener. I think honestly the worst scenario possible would be if we had Columbus Crew coming in
Yeah, I
because
thought
they're
that would have
actually
been interesting. I mean,
well.
obviously,
Here's the
I
thing:
don't
is
know if we
they're
would have beaten
good.
them, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no,
the
they're
thing is
very,
I want to
yeah,
win the home
right,
opener. I really want to win
right.
the home opener.
Right. I think that's the point, is to have a home opener that draws a little bit of attention. That's, you're gonna get attention anyway with a home opener. I guarantee the game will probably end up being on Fox Sports One or ESPN.
Yeah,
So yeah, making, it'll get, if it's not already announced that it's gonna be nationally televised. I mean, they nationally televise all the home openers usually for
yeah.
expansion teams. So, I think that it's a game that we can win. I guess who knows? I mean, we'll at least by then we'll have 2 months of a season to have really figured out what the situation is and how good we're going to be. But as of looking right now, we're not going to have a ton to be able to guess how good we're going to be. It's a lot up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, yes, we have a full squad. Realistically, do we even know what formation we're going to play? Not really. Um,
Yeah,
we can kind of extrapolate from, Greg Berhalter's teams because Josh was the
right,
assistant for Greg Berhalter for a while, but at the same time, even Greg has changed up his formations
right,
and his strategy a lot during his time with the U.S. men's national team. So we really don't know what we're going to look like. We don't know who's going to be starting. We don't know anything about the team really. So I think these first couple games in LA and Colorado especially are going to be really good temperature gauges for the rest of the season. So
yeah,
it'll be really interesting to look at. Like I said, I'm not super hopeful about going to LA. I think they have a great atmosphere and I think they have a great team. Carlos Vela is going to be back. And I
right.
think especially on the defensive end, and say what you want about what you think is more important for a team in terms of like actually getting victories. I think the most important thing is your defensive backline being able to play together. And you and I are both Liverpool fans, and we've seen this firsthand with our
Right,
backline.
right. No
We've had
kidding.
we've had like 20 different center back pairings, and it's not that the players are individually bad. It's just that they're not comfortable playing with each other. They don't know exactly
Right,
where everyone's going to be, and we've been training at St. Edwards, but we haven't been playing professional matches. We haven't been going up against professional players like Carlos Vela that's going to absolutely try and shred our defense at every chance he gets, right? So it's going to be a really, really tough test. I think the most important thing for these matches is seeing improvement, looking at where our bright spots are, and then looking at going forward, okay, what do we need to add to this team to shore it up and make it a solid team? You know what I mean?
right. No, I agree. I think a lot of times it's like kind of like having a young team in college sports is you're not necessarily expecting
Yeah.
to go out and win the national championship. You just want to see progress throughout the season and you want to see positives. I think in the first couple games, we just want to go out and fight and seem like a team that's going to be fighting in the league, and I think we will be, but you don't want to go out in the first game of the season just get obliterated by LAFC and then you're sitting there like, oh my God, like we have 30 whatever games
Oh
left
no.
and you're like, this is going to be a long 6 or 7 months. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think I think the LAFC will be a big one. The Will Ferrell versus Matthew McConaughey derby.
Yeah,
Obviously,
right.
that'll probably be talked about 5 million times. But
I
it'll.
can't wait to be watching the broadcast and seeing the McConaughey like cam. Like
Oh
they have
my
a specific
God,
camera for Matthew McConaughey. He's gonna be sitting
him
there
and
like
I
not
know.
showering, going all right, all right,
All
all
right,
right.
all right. I know. Hasn't used deodorant in 6 weeks, so that's why it's the social distancing. It has nothing to do with COVID. It just Will Ferrell doesn't want to sit too close to him. So yeah, I mean, I think it'll. I'm excited. It is kind of a little weird that we have 2 games on the schedule and then 2 months before the third one that we know of. It'll be
Mhm.
nice to kind of get the rest of the schedule. I mean, obviously they're gonna be all away games. We'll just kind of see the situation of how much traveling we're gonna have. Hopefully they, won't be sending us too crazy of trips all over the country and just kind of figuring out what 2021 has to entail. I think we'll learn a
Yeah,
lot in the first month.
yeah, yeah. So the first home match, I think, to me is gonna be like, yeah, the away games we're gonna see how we're doing as a team, and that's great. But I'm not as excited about those because I don't have the high expectations for. I think we're gonna go out and
Right,
compete for a championship. Like if we make the playoffs,
right, of course.
I honestly would be shocked. I mean, like I hate to say it as a fan, and I want to back us to the hilt, and and I still will, but realistically speaking, we're not. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs first year. We haven't gone out like Atlanta United and spent millions of dollars on all these players and like taken like our pick from the South American leagues and everything. We've built a
Right,
team. We've kept it within budget, and I think we're looking to do a slow build rather than just
right.
instant success.
Right. I think you're right. I think, we've spent some money. I think Redes, Pochettino, Dominguez. I think those guys definitely probably cost them, but you're right. We didn't necessarily get like the big
No,
sexy
yeah, yeah. I'm
splash.
saying like
Yeah.
we didn't go out and buy, big name DPs and everything like that. Like it's
Right. We didn't
there's
get Higuain and
yeah,
Matuidi
exactly,
and
yeah.
Pizarro and all these guys kind of like Miami did. But I don't think that was necessarily something we expected, but
No, I don't
just
think it was. Yeah, I
comparing.
mean, we're not a blockbuster type market. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind
No,
of
we're
like the
not.
Spurs, right? You look at the San Antonio Spurs. They've been a great team, but it's because they build great teams and they have a great coach in Greg
Right.
Popovich.
Right.
But it's not like they're going out and signing LeBron, right? LeBron doesn't want to hang out in San Antonio. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong,
No.
I like San Antonio, but they're not going to attract superstars. Like, I mean, Miami is going
Right.
to be able to attract superstars. LA is going to be able to attract superstars. New York, stuff like that. Big market
Mhm.
teams like that, they'll be able to attract the big players. I think the important thing for us is going to be how do we build a roster out that we are going to be consistently good in every match we play, right? We have to be hard to beat before we get really good at like just destroying teams. We need to be hard to
Right.
beat first because it's very much easier to be hard to beat than it is to be unbeatable. You know what I mean?
Of
Like
course. Yeah.
there's the balancing act, and I think that going for that unbeatable like Liverpool circa 2020 2019, no one can even touch him. Going for that is completely unattainable. Going
Yeah.
to build a team that's hard to beat and then building off of that is what I think we're doing, and it's much more attainable. But like I was saying, much more excited for the experience of the first home game.
Right. No, me too.
I'm so stoked because we grew up in Austin as soccer players and as Liverpool supporters and watching the games on the TV every single weekend, and there was always this feeling of like, oh, this is great, but I would love to be at the stadium. I'd love to watch it live.
Right.
I'd love to scream my lungs out whenever we score and go crazy with the rest of the fans and experience the atmosphere, because I think that's a huge part of soccer is being there and experiencing it. It's great to watch it on TV, but it's so much better experience. And I am beside myself. Like I'm like getting jittery now, and I know the first game isn't even until mid June.
Yeah. 3 months.
So actually, that brings me to a good point. The official capacity is coming out. Did you see that? The
Yeah.
official
Well.
capacity for McCullough.
Well. Yeah. It is 22.5, right? I
22.5.
believe. Yeah. 22.5. Which in a supposedly they have 10,000 person waiting list. So that
Yeah,
place is gonna be packed, and it's a hot ticket.
and I'm very very excited for that. I think the 22.5 ranking puts us in terms of soccer specific stadiums. I think we have two, three, four, five. We will be we will be the sixth biggest soccer specific stadium, which I think is really
Right.
cool, right?
No, that is cool.
And it's a very nice stadium. I mean, like
Oh
I've
yeah, it
driven
looks
past it, I've went
beautiful.
and parked in all the parking lots and tried to see what I could see, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a lot shadier than I thought it would be, which is actually weirdly enough a
And
big worry for me because I thought it was going to be hotter than hell in that stadium.
right, of course.
The shade looks a lot better than I thought it was going to be, which is really, really nice. I will say though, from the pictures that I've seen, we heard a lot of whisperings about like safe standing, right, for the
Right.
general admission into the
Mm,
stadium. We heard whisperings about that. I believe someone even confirmed that there would be a safe standing section, but we weren't given a lot of information as to how big it would be or where it would be. It was my assumption that they were going to make the whole general admission safe standing, which I would have absolutely loved. I think safe standing is a huge improvement in terms of atmosphere,
right, I
because it gives
agree.
people the ability to jump around and be more packed in and have the flares and the drums and the banners and everything, because everyone in that section is there to create an atmosphere. The rest of the stadium, you can sit down, you've got the chairs. That section should be for the atmosphere. The problem is the pictures I've seen in the end that's going to be general admission, and I don't even know if it's because the section is unfinished and they haven't put in the chairs, but it looks completely seated, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if we just didn't have a good angle of it or what. I'm not 100% sure what that situation is. Maybe they've spoken on it. I haven't seen anything about it, but yeah, I saw the ATX in the seats. I didn't see anything about you know, I didn't see anything that looked like, railing or anything that looked like a safe standing area. So I don't know what the situation is with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see going forward. I think you mentioned earlier that it could be because of the COVID regulations, and you need to
Yeah, I don't
have a certain amount of space per capacity or
right. You
something like
can't really
that.
manage that with
We're
standing. I
not
don't
really sure.
know.
We don't have a concrete answer on it, and we're not sure even if we will get a concrete answer, because it seems like not a lot of people are asking questions about that. But we'll see going forward. If anything comes of that, if it's a temporary thing, and then they'll build out a safe standing section, or what the deal will
Right.
be. I'm sure there will be a demand for it, with all the Anthem guys and the all the other fan groups that are around.
Yeah. Los Verdes.
Los Verdes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there will be a demand. Will we get it? Possibly. But chances are those guys are going to be standing the entire game anyways. As I hope most of the stadium will be. But another good
Right.
question in terms of capacity is: do you think we'll have full capacity for that first home match in June?
I do. I mean, the Texas Rangers announced that they're having full capacity in April for their opening game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For I think the opening series, and then they're going to open up some sections to like social distancing or whatever. After that, so certain sections will be for people who aren't comfortable of sitting in the normal
Yeah.
sections. But that's in April, and we're talking about this is in June.
Yeah.
And from without going down the vaccine and political rabbit hole or whatever, it sounds like by May, the vaccine is going to be pretty readily available.
Yeah.
So I don't see why we wouldn't be able to be full capacity. Whether people are safe doing that or not, that's up to you. But at least as far as number of people vaccinated, the state laws, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to have full capacity.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. My general prediction is that once the COVID vaccine becomes like the flu vaccine, and that you could just go to Walgreens or something and get your COVID
Right,
vaccine, that's when it will full capacity will be available. I think we'll stay away from the political side of it, but I think that full capacity will be available once the vaccine is readily available for anyone that wants it, right?
right.
And I think by June we will have that, because the
Yeah,
U.S. has already ordered like four times the population, like
yeah. A
something crazy like that,
bajillion,
four times the
basically.
population's number in vaccines. So there will
Right.
be enough, right? There will be enough
Yeah.
vaccines. Hopefully, it will be in time for our first home game in June. We've got a little over 3 months. We got 3 months and a week exactly
Yeah, I mean, a
until our
lot can
first home match.
change.
So
A lot can change in 3 months. If you look back 3 months ago at the and how much we've
oh
moved with the
Jesus,
vaccine
yeah.
and COVID, I mean, it's night and day. So the real question is, when the first game comes, you got your jersey. What player are you gonna have on the back of your jersey?
Oh man. Oh man. Okay, so I'm split on this one, okay? I've got three possibles. The first one is I want to get Kakuta because
Right,
he's a hometown kid.
right.
We
Lone Star
actually
kid.
we actually played at the same club at Lone Star.
Right.
We all played against him in practices, and this man was insane. Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah, a
It
little
was
better
like a
than you
cheat
and
code.
I.
Yeah, it was a lot better than you and I. But this guy was amazing. He grew up in Austin, um, and I really really want him to do well, because I think it's a huge thing in soccer to have your team have hometown kids. Like the
Yeah, no,
homegrown
I think
talent is
so.
great, but homegrown talent can mean anyone from the U.S. You know what I mean, or
Yeah, that's
anyone
true.
that came up through a youth academy in the MLS. They don't even have to be American. Um, but I think it's a big thing. Like, I mean, I keep going back to the Liverpool thing, but like it's a big deal for us to have Trent and have Curtis Jones, because
Yeah, no, I
they're
agree.
Liverpool kids. They grew up in Liverpool. They supported Liverpool their whole lives, and I think that brings a special dynamic to be playing for your hometown club, right? So
Yeah,
I really like Hakuda. I really want to get his name, but I really like Matt Besler as well.
yeah,
I think he's gonna be huge for us, because yes, he's a little bit over the hill in terms of like his physical ability and everything, but having that mental awareness, having that leadership, having the years and years and years of experience playing in the MLS, and playing for the U.S. men's national team and all these things, that's going to help a young team, like not only age wise, but a young team in terms of how many times have we played together, how many minutes do we have, are we working under a new coach, which for every single guy in this team, it's yes. Uh,
right, right.
I like Wolf was the assistant coach when Beasler was playing for the U.S. men's national team, but again, it's
Yeah,
the
that's
assistant
true.
coach. It's going to be run
Yeah,
completely differently. So having these old heads in there like that, and I'm sure he won't appreciate me calling him an old head, but sorry, Matt.
yeah.
It's gonna be huge for us. So I think he's a really pivotal player. And he went to the University of Notre Dame. My dad went to
Oh
Notre
yeah, he
Dame. My
did,
whole
didn't
family's
he?
Notre Dame fans. So
I forgot about
that's another
that.
strike for him. He's doing well. And then finally, I know we signed I think he's going to be a backup keeper, but his last name is Brady. So I mean,
No, his first
I'm a
name is
little bit
Brady.
biased. Oh, his first name's Brady? I thought it was
Yeah,
last name Brady.
Brady Scott.
Oh,
Brady Scott.
okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
Brady Scott. Well, if it says Scott on the back of the jersey, I don't want it anymore. I just want Brady.
Well, that's one of the things I was actually going to talk about was Brady Scott. Had a lot of potential. Still only 21. He played for Cologne a bit over in Germany. I don't think he ever made an appearance for the first team, but if you look at the roster, the 2021 players numbers, he's not on there. And I know a few weeks, maybe even a couple days ago, somebody said there was rumors that he was loaned out. Then Austin FC said he's not been loaned out, and that was on the 7th, I believe, so about 5 days ago. And then the
Mhm.
numbers came out yesterday, and he's not on the list. So I don't know
Interesting.
what's going on with
Maybe
him.
maybe it's a reserve situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Um,
mean, we took him in the expansion draft, so you would think we would have some
yeah,
interest
I don't know
in
why we
him.
would use a pick on him if we're not thinking about having him on the roster, but
Yeah. I don't see his number on there unless I just can't read. I don't see him on the number list, but
I didn't see it either, but I thought it was a
yeah,
kind of a coincidence.
but I think that's be interesting. I mean, but as far as jerseys, I think Redis could be an interesting one too. I mean,
Mm,
he literally was our first
first
player,
ever player, yeah.
first jersey,
It's a good
first
shout.
player. Yeah, Pochettino, has a little bit of hype. Cecilio has some hype. The
Mhm.
Danny Hoysen, the striker we signed. Yeah, I mean, we got some. I think we have some good players, but I'm a little apprehensive. I'm glad we have 2 months before the first home game because I don't want to grab the player with the most hype, slap his name on the back of a jersey,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
six
yeah.
months later he's like, it hasn't worked. So I'm glad we have that 2 month gap. But
Yeah, I will
I'm
say I
yeah,
need to watch some games because I'm planning on getting my name set at the stadium for the first
right.
match. So gives me a little time to do some research. Um, so just real quickly on the jerseys in general, what are your thoughts? Like, do you like them? Do you hate them?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I think the home jersey is really cool. Obviously the green black, I think it's a nice color combo. I think the
I
whole
think
thing
it's
looks good.
honestly the home jersey is what we kind of expected, you know.
Yeah, I think so
Um,
too.
but I'm not, I like the home jersey. I own the home jersey. Actually, it's sitting over there. I haven't folded it yet. Uh, but I really like the home jersey. I'm gonna be honest, man. I hate the away jersey. I hate it. I hate the white jersey. I think it looks silly, and
Yeah,
it's not because I think that our designers specifically screwed up. I just hate that style of jersey. I think it looks awful because the MLS does
right,
the jersey deals where they say, okay, here's the style of jerseys from Adidas that they're giving us. Put it
right.
in your team's color, and that's your jersey. Um, I get it. I hate it, but I get it. Like it's not our choice to pick the style of jersey, but I hate that style of jersey. I think the three stripes thing looks silly. I think that the collar looks silly.
Yeah, I
I
do
think that it
too.
fits strangely. And I'm disappointed because I think we could have had really really cool all white jerseys with just green accents, and I think it could have been cool. And I think that we
Yeah,
could have picked a different style jersey in the Adidas like umbrella, that we could have made all white and had the green accents. I'm just really disappointed that we went with this style. I've said it for years. I've like when LAFC first started wearing them, I was like, wow, that looks awful. That looks terrible.
yeah.
But
I'll,
that's
yeah,
where
I'll,
we're at. Adidas, thanks a lot for making us all
yeah,
wear cookie cutter shirts, but uh,
yeah. I'll be honest with you. I do wonder how much Austin FC even really has a say in any of this. I wonder if they tell them like, "Hey, these are your jerseys, dude. You like it, you don't like it. Well, sorry, these are your jerseys." I don't.
yeah.
I'm sure they get a little bit of say, but I don't. I
I,
do wonder how that conversation goes and if it's really like a two-way street or if it's more like a one-way street.
what I'm thinking is they probably give them a little catalog and they say you can pick from these jersey
Yeah,
designs
imagine.
and just make them your color. It's like you
Yeah,
ever done the kit creators? Like if you have like an indoor team or something, you're trying to buy a jersey for
right, of
everyone,
course.
you make the custom jerseys and they just
Right,
give you like you can have stripes, you can have hoops, you can have a gradient, and then you can pick
right.
the colors
It's
for
like
it.
this,
Like I
yeah.
would assume it's
It's like the
something like
same
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the same thing except it's a $1 billion league and not
Mhm.
your beer league. And so
Yeah.
you'd think they'd let them be a little more picky, but I don't know, man. That's one of the downsides of
It's
the
the
whole league being
ways,
sponsored
yeah.
by
Well, I mean,
one.
that's the way that
Yeah.
American sports are run. Like that's every single American
Right.
league. I think it's definitely
Right.
a very American thing because every other sports league in the world, apart from maybe like European basketball leagues, all the
Yeah,
jerseys are
I'm not
made
really sure
by
how that works.
individual contracts with the teams, right? And I think that adds more money
Right.
into it. But at the same time, with the MLS, I get it. I hate it, but I get it because the MLS is still a very
Yeah,
young league. They don't
of
have the
course.
soccer teams haven't become infrastructure yet, and by that I mean like it's not ingrained in the city's culture yet.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not there to stay. That's also why we can't do promotion relegation yet, because these are
Yeah.
businesses and they have to keep a
Mhm.
positive cash flow to continue playing soccer.
Yeah.
Um, so we can't allow there needs to be a safety net for the smaller market teams, for the teams that may not have that constant cash flow like a New York or an LA would have. So I get it. I hate it. I hate that it's necessary, but I get it. Um,
Yeah. If you want the league to exist, it's a necessary evil essentially.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think in 60 years we can revisit the conversation and actually make a really good case for, promotion relegation, for individual jersey deals, for stuff like that. But it's going to take a while. We got to
Yeah.
really ingrain this in culture, because otherwise it's gonna become an issue. Some team's gonna get $1 billion for Nike and blow out their spending, and then some team's gonna have to get like
Yeah.
BCG jerseys or something. No offense to BCG, I
Imagine.
wear their stuff all the time for workouts. So, but yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, no, it's a good point, and it also hope. I think one of the positives though is that it keeps leagues from turning into where Man City has all the money and all has a loaded squad with PSG, where
yeah,
well, a Bayern, where you turn to these situations where it's like
yeah,
one team has all the money, one team has the biggest market, one team has all the players, and it's like it just gets a little redundant. But it is what it is. I get there's a million things that could be said about this topic.
yeah. No, it's wishful thinking at this point, but let's move on from that because we could rant about that shit all day. Give me one player that you are most excited to see play. Who
Um,
who are you most interested in the first match? Who are you going to be watching?
Probably Pochettino. I think he probably has the most hype around him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was gonna pick two, but I think you might say the other guy, so I'll just go with Pochettino. Yeah, he's got the most hype. I think he's a big talent. I think we might have taken him, not necessarily taken him, but there might have been some other teams, bigger teams in Argentina were rumored to want him, like River Plate. So I think he was a big signing. Yeah, there's a lot of hype behind him. Yeah, so I would say Pochettino, which is kind of a very basic answer, but that would
Mhm.
probably be my answer.
I think my answer, and I am interested in Pochettino. That was probably my second choice. I think mine is Cecilio.
Yeah, that's
I'm
my
really
second choice.
interested, yeah, because he was our first DP, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really know a lot about him. The what little I read is that he was bought by Club America for a little bit, and he just didn't really work out there. Like he was a talented player, but he never really panned
Hmm.
out. Didn't get the goals, didn't get the assists. So I think it'll be really interesting to see. He's given another chance in a bigger market league. Can he capitalize on that? And I think it could be a really good thing because a lot of guys don't get second chances, and if he's got the right attitude about it, he's going to be busting his butt. He's going to be doing
Right.
everything he can do, to try and capitalize on that second chance. Because I think if he's smart, he'll realize that not a lot of guys get a second chance in a big league. If they go and they don't do
Right.
well, they're kind of relegated to playing in the lower leagues. Teams kind of realize, oh, this guy's not built for the upper levels.
Right.
I think this is if he realizes this is his chance to get onwards and upwards. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Austin FC and the MLS are the end all be all in terms of where you want to end up in your career. But it is definitely a really good stepping stone. We've seen guys,
Hmm.
Miggy Almiron is the one that comes to mind that come
Right.
do really well in the MLS and get skyrocketed into the Premier League, and
Right.
now he's starting every game for Newcastle. So I think this is a really big opportunity for him, and I'm interested to see what he does with it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think there's a lot of players who are going to come in with a lot to prove. I think we have some guys like Berhalter, Ring, I'm sorry, Matt Biesler, sorry, Ring. So for Gundez, he's
Hmm.
got some experience in the league as well.
Yeah.
Nick Lima has some experience. I think a lot of these guys they have a little more experience. It's not that they don't have anything to prove, but it's this is their league. This is kind of their stomping ground. But I think there's gonna be some guys like Pochettino, Cecilio Dominguez, Redes. They're gonna come in and they're gonna have they're gonna want to prove something. They're gonna want to prove that, hey,
Yeah,
I am
absolutely.
good enough for this league, and I'm gonna come be one of the best players in this league. So, they should be very motivated. I don't think anyone's gonna have to light a fire under their ass.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope, but we'll see.
Right.
We'll see going forward in April. Um, so I think that about wraps it up for us. Our last bit is we're going to be doing a trivia question at the end of every show every week. Um, Make sure you answer in the comments. The first one we see will be shouted out on the show. We'll recognize your brilliance and your soccer knowledge. And we'd also like to hear feedback from y'all. So any comments you have, any thoughts on the show, any suggestions, stuff like that, or if you want to just call us idiots and say that Cecilio is going to be awful and we don't know anything about soccer, let us know. We want to hear it. We
Yeah.
want to hear it. We want to hear from you guys. This is all about interacting for us because we're also fans. That we're doing this because we want to, not because we want to make money off of it or whatever. So we love the
Right.
conversation. We love hearing from you guys. Please let us know what you think. So our trivia question for this week, and Avery, I don't want you to answer this because I think you'll probably get it.
Yeah.
Um, what is the club that Josh Wolf had the most professional appearances for as a player? So
Okay.
what club did he step on the field the most for in his playing career? Um, he's played in multiple countries. He's played in Germany. He's played in the
Yeah.
U.S. The answer may surprise you. But
Yeah.
make sure you answer that in the comments. You can tweet it at us if you want. Let us know the first answer that we see that is correct. We'll shout you out. We'll get your name up in glowing lights. I promise it'll be great. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like the video if you liked it. Subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can see
Yep.
whenever our videos come out. We'll also be tweeting about them. We'll be tweeting out our podcast as well. Thank you so much again, guys. We will see you next week. Laters.
Yes. It's good to be back.